Hi, my name is Nikita Narona, and I'm the founder of Moira, a communication consultancy for impact and sports. And with me today, I have Nikhit Fernandez, the founder of Rush Football Academy, and Piyush Jain, the co-founder of Sprenzo and Racket League. So thank you guys for coming here and being with us. When I was doing some reading up in terms of like what we have in common, like I usually do when I talk to people, community showed up quite a bit because Moira's statement was community collaboration and change. Um, you've been 12 years in ICICI and then jumped to Talent Scout and then jumped FIFA Talent Scout and then jumped again to your own academies. You have been JSW Sports, Visual Design, Bengaluru FC, and passion project became basically what you want to do, which is Sprenzo, right? What stood out was community, but I'll get to that later. Let me ask you a rather maybe not so but honest question, which is that I think we live in a country today that makes it really hard to do something from scratch and start something of your own. And so, what I want to know from both of you, and we can start with Nikit first, is that what is the one thing that we as a country are getting wrong at the grassroots sports level?
One thing wrong, I think at the grassroots level, I mean, I think we're trying to do too many things at the same time. So we're trying to measure too many outputs when there's actually just a couple of things that one should do. So also there's this entire thing about what do you want to measure? So when we say grassroots, what are we looking at? Are we looking at how many times does a team win? Or how many players do you develop? Or how much fun is the team having, or the boys having? So I think there's one, what do you measure? And I think today in grassroots, we really need to measure how long or how consistent is a boy playing or a girl playing sport. And I think that should be more measurable than anything else. So I think too many things at one go. He's winning, you're losing. I played 5 matches. I go here, I go to this academy, I go to that academy. I think doesn't really matter in the long run as long as you're playing. So I think too many measurables, but not the right kind of measurables. This is what I feel.
Okay.
Cool. My answer is very simple, right? I don't see us, breaking down barriers for more and more women to come and play sport. I see more and more mothers in India need to start playing sport, and that's when it runs in the family. For me, that's the first thing that I would want the grassroots system to look at. How do I get more girls, more women, more mothers, and even people older? But I need more women playing, and that's how the whole family comes to this thing. If you see statistically, globally, I mean, out of every 100 people who watch sport, some countries have 30 people playing, some countries have 20 people playing. We are at 1. And I think one very big thing for us to do is how do we make it more and more better, easier, more accessible for women to take the sport up. I swear, like there's been a lot of data studies all around. If the mother in the household knew a lot about sport or was involved with sport, more are the chances that the child would end up growing up having some element of sport in their life. That's essential. That's how I feel that simple change could do a lot of things.
Yeah, I think I see it as a more zoomed out level where I feel like we have our fingers in too many pies. Like we're trying to do multiple sports just because it's a fad or a trend, or there's just simply somebody who's woken up one day and said, "Paisa hai mere paas, dal," right? And it doesn't work like that because it fizzles down as much as it comes up. It's basically like you're popping champagne, right? So, but yeah, I get your point, and I think the women point is bang on. But I think we throw the word community around, right? All of us do today. Swiki too, we work, everybody. But building that actually takes something, doing that together, kind of sustaining it really takes something. From your perspective, right? What's your like biggest take in terms of your learning towards that? How to build is one, success is one, but staying there is the other.
Sure. It's the energy, right? So about 2 years back is the first time beyond my GSW and Bengaluru FC days, was the first time that we sat down and we saw that, hey, there's not enough people playing. What do we do? Should we start with our family and friends? And we started doing that. It's the energy that both me and my co-founder would get to that conversation would show up on a Saturday evening. We would push people saying that, hey, why don't you show up and then we'll do this? Why don't you show up and we'll do that? Doing that consistently got 10 people together. Then the 10 people got 20 people together. And that's how today we are a community of 5,000 people in Bangalore alone, where everyone is actively playing. And that took a lot of operational moderation on our side, but that was worth it. I think as you mentioned, Swiggy's and Weavers, there's a lot of brands who build a brand and then go after a community. But for us, the community was essential for our own livelihood. We were like, I would love to do this 3 times a week. I would love to do that 5 times a week. So that honesty is what helped everyone sort of relate to it. And in fact, it's funny. I was on work in Mumbai yesterday, and this time, for the first time, I stayed over at a friend's house, and the friend was made with the community, right? That's how these communities kind of grow up. So it's just that, it's your heart, and again, how often you repeat it.
So I think 2 points that Piyush is saying. One is consistency. Can you go out and play? I think communities are built with the availability of just a land to play. So I was talking to somebody a couple of months ago from Goa, and we were talking about how Goa has kind of plateaued in terms of their football, how good they are at football. And he says just simply one thing. He said, earlier in my apartment or in the Vadu, right, you knew one family had 11 players. And they would come and play, and because they were good, another 12 would come and play, and that Vadu would stand out. Now, out of those 7 brothers, about 5 have immigrated, gone. So your community is broken. So I think there's two layers. One is how organic can you make a community grow? It could be, like I said, the Vadu boys or classmates. Like when we hung out in school time, our only thing was a recess on the ground and back to school. So I think the organic nature, that is one. So that happens with accessibility. Today, how many schools have grounds? How many grounds are accessible, public or private? That's number 2. Number 3 is consistency. Like, in the sense, can I go every day? If I go at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, every day, or for example, wherever, Bangalore is great because most of the places have a common space. So you will see 8, 9 teams playing cricket, football, and you see football now much more. Can you have access to that infrastructure? So one is just pure organic, and then of course the third layer is then there are private community builders who say, okay, now there's an academy, there's better facilities, timings are better, etc. So I think this completely layered, but first should be access. Can we play a pickleball together? Like we were just talking, let's go and play. Yeah. And that's how, and of course then the energy and the consistency.
So, I just thought of something while both of you said consistency and how fun it is, right? Like I play basketball. I can say I play basketball, but truly I've played basketball once this year, right? Twice, right? Pushing it. And that's because it's a team sport. And I have to literally reach out and be like, please, can you come? And then it's like, I'm too hungover, I showed up, I'm dying, I'm not, I'm knee injury, all of that, right? So how conducive do you think this community has become to just the vices that we have around us in terms of the technological exposure, the stimulation of the outside, right? Is that you don't want to really meet people. You may want to play. Sure, it sounds great in your head, but you're really not getting there. Is that a bigger challenge than actually fighting with?
I think I'll start with the story, right?
Yeah.
February 14th, there's 2 people, Varsha and Som, they got married. And they got married because there was one event that with Rush and Spencer together we had done where we'd gone out to play pickleball, cricket, and we went hiking. They met there. And what's happened with the community is that people are coming out more because they made friends within the community. When the consistency point, right? When I know Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I'm going to be doing this with these people on these mornings. You want to be going out, getting that breakfast with them. And initially, we thought that it's going to die out. It's going to fizzle out. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right? And suddenly we realized that it's been 2 years and the same people, even today we have an event going out elsewhere and the same people are still there because they made friends with each other and that gave them that safe space to come out. So that relationship part of it is supremely important for me to make that decision. And as in terms of what do I do with so much technology, and it is fatiguing. The first time you get someone to a stadium, the first time you get someone to play with you is the most difficult time. And that day, if they just go out and experience it, they're going to come back again. That's something that we've seen happen time and again with Indian football as well. A lot of families would come out and watch the first game, and I know for a fact that they would come back at least for one more game. And then we at BFC, we would start targeting them in terms of, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to get immersed? Do you want to be a part of this experience? You want to do that? But at the same level, on a community level, you do simple things. You're like, hey, let's go and get breakfast after this. Let's do that. Give them a reason to come out with you. And then they'll definitely keep coming back.
Today we're very interesting times because talking about sport right now, what we're doing, I don't think has happened in India in the last 10 years. I think over the last 6 months, I'm hearing so much about let's talk about sport, let's talk about football, let's talk about kabaddi, the leagues that have happened over the last 5 years, ISL that started and took off. So I think from an accessibility point, it is really, really easy today. And I know friends who've never played basketball or pickleball or paddle, and just the excitement, like you said, of today, so many apps, right? You just pick, 6 to 7, you can go and play with a stranger. Even though we have a community, we do, we know when our people are playing. Sometimes you just go onto the app and you say, okay, 6 to 7, this place, this team is hosting, I'll go. So I think that has kind of unfolded a layer that was not there even maybe 2 years ago. And I think Bangalore, Bombay, Hyderabad, Chennai kind of leading the way. And I think that will cascade into the smaller towns. So while there is this inertia problem that you're talking about, I think today sport has become more accessible than ever.
That's also like the positive.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. So yeah, of course you'll have people who will be like hungover even on a Tuesday morning.
Yeah. I also think it's the more familiar you are with the person, the more they can mess around. If you have that 1 or 2 degree of separation.
About 2 years ago, you couldn't get even those 8 guys to play.
Yeah.
But today you can. So I think it's a very interesting time. And even talking about this, tomorrow you'll have somebody, I didn't know this existed. And they'll go on, okay, I can go and play. So I think the accessibility factor has to be really, really looked into. And I think that's what's happening right now.
One good thing is, like in Bangalore, if you see from whatever I studied last, there were about 220 to 250 public grounds, and we have a population exceeding 1 crore right now, and that whole math doesn't work. But what Bangalore did very well, I think, huge credit to the Rush team in general, but what Bangalore did very well was we started creating the arena infrastructure like no one ever did. Even a city like Bombay does not compete with Bangalore's arena infrastructure in terms of this density of arenas. Today we are going well over 1,000. So now the whole conversation could shift a little like this. I was having this conversation earlier today that how do we make our arenas more conducive to community? Again, one thing we've done at Rush rapidly is that we've gotten drone making and, art and all of that as a part of the regular conversation. A lot of people were a little surprised. You have to book out these hours and do that, which we always look at these spaces as community spaces. These are just extensions. Like, I think when we were growing up, there was no culture of arena per se, but then we always found the nearest playground to do whatever we wanted to do at whatever time. So we just need to get a little bit of that back as well. And whatever we are building going ahead needs to be keeping the community in mind, needs to be keeping that space alive, saying that, hey, I'll probably go beyond sport as well, but stay on the periphery of sport. And that'll give a lot of families also a chance to come and be a part of something.
Yeah. So the number of turfs has always been the case. I think Bangalore has always been, right from 2017-18, they've been like the leaders in kind of space availability. Also in terms of numbers, we have 600 million under the age of 25, and not more than 3% is playing organized sport. So I think we are just in terms of runway, just to get the numbers into organized sport, there have to be people playing unorganized sport. So I think there is a huge kind of runway. So I think that's where we are.
I just remembered when I just moved to Bangalore, there was I was staying in Bengaluru, and there's a Sakra hospital in Bengaluru, and there's a really rubbish road that then eventually leads to the army road that then eventually leads to Domblur. and it was pouring, like it was really bad, and it was flooded, and I was like, where have I reached and what is happening? And and in the middle of all of this, it's like it was like Jesus, like everything cleared out, and I saw turf, and I was like, what is this doing here? There was this much of road space. There was water up till people's knees, but the boys on the turf were playing football,
Yeah.
chilling. So, I mean, I guess that's the sort of dedication and that's the kind of community you need to find. And if you guys are building it, I mean, kudos.
I think anyone who's a part of sport has that thing. I think
Yeah.
I played at the turf you're talking about.
Yeah, you
So, but yeah, I think anyone, there's a room of a lot of people here, and everyone, when we know we have to go out and play football,
Yeah.
trust me, it's raining, it's sun, it's hail, it's
Yeah.
snow, whatever it is, we'll just play.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so then I'm gonna like wrap it up on one last question, right? Which is, what is the one structural, maybe it's a partnership, maybe it's some kind of a mindset shift, but what is that could genuinely benefit or bend the kind of curve that we're at in terms of grassroots sports?
There's no one answer. I'll give you 2, 3, because it is so wide in terms of participation. And when you're saying grassroots sports, we're not talking about only football, right? We're talking about the larger. So there's no one answer. I think one thing that we're getting fixated about is, I think we're going too professional too early. So for example, you have under 7s, under 9s, and they are like, and they are hardcore. They have their own, little, and while it's good, you're creating, heroes. So Holland had this problem a few years ago, and what they did was till under 12 they said no, no competing games. So till you're 12, you're just playing for the sake of it,
Right.
and not sake of it. You're playing well, you're competing, but you're not getting the kind of competition or accolades. You're not getting it. So that's one thing. I think we're really, really getting it. We focus 9, give it maybe 10, 11, 12 as I think maybe we can start. So that's one. Second is, of course, how do you measure and how do you reward consistency? How do you measure it, first of all? And because today the average, so 2, 3 things. One is the average kid plays in an academy or maybe 3 to 6 months. Now, if you're looking for development, nothing happens in that time frame. The body is just getting used to, so maybe you have to 1 year. I mean, you don't go to school for 6 months and then drop and say, okay, I'll go somewhere else, right? So that's one. Then the other one is when they're 12th, ages 12, 13, 14, they have so many other pressures. Huge drop off. I mean, the Indian statistic is 70% of kids lose out versus with a global average of 40%. So we're already gone there. I think finally it's just about, again, what do we want to measure? Talent. I don't think India suffers from a talent problem.
Yeah.
I think we kind of, we don't suffer, but we don't know where the talent is. So there is talent in every nook and corner. You have South that produces different kind of players. You have Punjab, you have Bengal, you have Goa who produce different kind of players. And I think just the architecture around how do we get this talent on board, and secondly, how do we help them sustain, play the sport, more people getting into the sport, and more people staying with the sport for longer. 5, 6, when they're 5, 6, 7, you can try any sport, you can play as long. So I think everybody in the infrastructure, the parent, like you were saying, can the parent help? Can the school help? And of course, can the community help?
Very interesting.
Right. For me, it's very simple. I think a lot of us are sort of dabbling with the problems of the urban sort of population, which is good, which is nice. It can set a good trend. But one of the other things that we've sort of dipped our feet into, at times comfortably, at times uncomfortably, is what's happening in a second tier or third tier town or a city, and what's happening there. I feel a lot of public-private partnerships can sort of come into play there. We have a lot of space, we have a lot of infra that is already built there. The question is not about infra, but it's a thought process thing. Yeah. It's not about doing one grand tournament there. It's about sustaining a 6-month, 1 year, 2 year program, and then learning from that and building again from that, right? Mm-hmm. And no one needs the data, no one needs that in-depth learning. As Nikhil rightly said, we need to just consistently do the simple things well in these places as well. Yeah. Because a lot of our population also resides there. So if there is one change, again at Rush, Rakili or Sprenzo, that's something that we'll definitely keep looking at over the next 5 to 10 years, where we keep finding at least second-tier towns and cities in Karnataka where we could do more things in, and hopefully we come up with a answer that can be replicated with other states by whoever it is. It's not a winner-take-all game. It is a thing where if you do it well, I'd like to learn from you and do it better. That's about it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I can only come at it from a marketing perspective.
I'd
And
love to
that's,
have your opinion on that.
that's basically what I've seen. And I was just telling this upstairs is that I interestingly only get opportunities to market sports I have no idea about. And and that's, I've just somehow, we've just stumbled upon it. But that sort of bears in mind with the fact that why don't I know about it, right? Why is it just so incommunicado when it comes to anything from a rugby to a fencing to a even hockey? I mean, these are things that I remember our school once, and sounds really actually completely spoiled and terrible, but we had an Indian sports week. We were only supposed to play Indian sports. And the footballs and basketballs were removed from our entire thing, and we had to play picto, and we had to play and we had no. It was 1 week, and we really struggled. But it just sort of gave me, and when we do this at Moira, we always ask why, right? And my entire foundation for whatever we built was why are we doing something, and if people understand the why a little bit more, I think any kind of grassroots sport would flourish. So,
We had a good time. I think over the last 15 years, what I've seen is on the overall sporting spectrum, we've gone from a -1 to 0. That's a very, very big improvement. I don't know how numerically it sounds, but over the next 10 years, we're looking at a 0 to 10 progression. That's amazing. We are part of a place like this, as you said, with the kind of youth population. There are a lot of dreams to sort of get Olympics in India, to do a lot of things. Now, I can't comment on what is good or what is bad, but it's momentum and there's movement. And as long as there's momentum and movement, people will come and figure it out.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we just need to get the floor a little higher. I think we're trying to aim at the ceiling, but I think we need to just, like you said, from -2, can we go to a 3? And I think that 3 will then, there is a cumulative effect that happens, and that just get the floor right. So get the communities in, get people playing. We don't have need to have the fancy stadiums, although we have a lot of stadiums today that are unused across the country, tier 2, all those who've hosted national games over the last 10, 12 years or Commonwealth Games, we have. So I don't think we need to be aiming for the ceiling right now. It's just about how high can we get the floor.
By popular demand of Nikhil, I'm sure I'm going to ask the deep questions first. To Nikhil, one thing you wish someone had told you before you started your first academy?
Don't. No, I think there is no plan B. If you go in with a plan B, then, so, I mean, if you, of course, a lot of advice, what are you doing? Also, sometimes I think you have to be like a head in the ostrich, head in the sand.
Yeah.
Kind of, lot of complications.
Yeah.
But what kind of partnerships do you do? Why do you do a partnership? So, why that kind of, why there? And I think it's an elimination process. You learn, of course, mistakes, but partly because you have the passion, which is the most used, misused, abused word, because, it comes with so many other connotations.
Yeah.
But you learn, and of course, hindsight is 20/20. But I won't say any particular advice except somebody who says, be careful. Perhaps it's generic advice to everybody. I think if you feel like don't go with plan B, stick to plan A. Of course, you will pivot at some point, and that works out. Pivot again, and people say, a lot of people who built multi-million-dollar businesses never started out in that business in the first place. So, maybe luck will fall your way at some point in time, but That's not an answer to your question, but I would say.
Nikit is a very interesting person. Like for him to sort of dabble into the amount of things he knows and
Yeah.
then choose this path
Yeah.
also helps him sort of not take it too seriously, and which is very important. Like all your conversations with him outside, you will understand that the man has a life way beyond this. And that actually plays a very big role on how he does this so well, right?
Yeah.
So it's something that I've grown up appreciating. And again, just to add on to the point, I met one of like a founder of an electric mobility company yesterday, and in their lifetime, they pivoted a lot of times. They're doing about 500 crores worth in revenue, and they were very close to being bankrupt 9 times. And that comes with anxiety. A lot of people don't talk about the anxiety of starting something.
Yeah.
But then again, if you've gone out to do something, might as well do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's like somebody asks me, how's it going? And I said, no, it's fine. I cried once today. It's all good. Everything's okay. Crying is normal. Crying is life. But yeah, okay. Completely different question to you. You were a designer before you were a founder. How does design thinking shape how you build a sports community?
I've never learned design formally. I was an apprentice as a design studio, and it was very easy for me to take it as something that someone was giving it to me. So I've been told I'm a good designer. I've been told I've worked with a lot of good brands, but I don't know the formal design thinking way of things in general. I know how to make things look good, but I don't know how much it qualifies me to talk about, am I using the right systems? But what I do know I have a lot in me is persistence and perseverance. And I think that's all that I ever have. I know that I'll just knock on any door and I'm going to talk about anything that I want to talk about, where I'm passionate about, and I'm going to do it 10,000 times every year, and that's all it is. I'll just do it to the best of my ability. There's no thinking beyond whatever else I do.
Amazing. Okay, now for the one words and the two words and maybe a sentence if you must. But let's start with Nikit. Okay, these are solely directed at you. One sport you think India's sleeping on that has real potential. Just one.
Can you give two?
No. you can give
Clarity,
it's fine. Yeah.
Basketball.
Yes. Yes.
Dennis Rodman is smiling.
Okay. The moment you knew Rush Football Academy was going to work.
Don't know. Like I said,
Yeah.
there's no moment. You
Momentum.
3 times a day, 1 time a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think
There's no moment. There's momentum.
But there is a flow.
Yeah.
You understand the flow.
Yeah. Yeah. Parent, coach, or kid, who's the hardest to convince?
Parent.
And if you could copy one thing from how another country does sports, what would it be? Grassroots sports.
One thing, I think just consistency. Like regular, just keep doing things. Just keep allowing the kids to play. I mean, just consistency.
Got it.
That's it.
And over to you, Piyush. One sport on the Sprenso platform that surprised you with how fast it grew.
Pickleball. I mean, it was
Surprised
out there.
you?
Yeah, I mean, we got in very early.
Okay.
We were always on the fences, but just grew.
Okay. The biggest excuse adults give for not playing and your honest response to that.
I've heard a lot of them. That's difficult.
The best excuse.
This was supposed to be in the deep end. I mean, the biggest excuse is I don't have time. That's one thing a lot of adults come and tell me.
Yeah.
And I just look straight up and I'm like, you don't need to have time. You make time for sport.
But you have a 3-letter answer to that one.
Not for this.
Not for this?
Not for this.
Community or gear, what came first at Spencer?
I mean, both of them, to be honest. Because we needed people to take our gear, we needed a community. Because we needed a community, we gave them gear. It was chicken and egg in our head from day zero. It's very weird.
And lastly, it says 1 million Indians playing by 2030, right?
Okay.
What does success actually look like on ground?
Are you talking about in business terms or in India sporting terms?
In India sporting terms.
Sure. I think as many families coming and playing sport because of us, that's all it is. I think I don't care about if it's 100,000 families or 5,000 families, but as long as father, son, daughter, mother, anyone comes together and plays with us and does it consistently, I think that's hugely successful, as simple.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Thank you then. I think that was it. That is a wrap. My rapid fire is also over, guys. I've run out of questions.
Oh, thanks, guys.